This is crazy, man. The world's biggest TikToker was apparently arrested by ICE in the US, detained, and eventually kicked out. This is a multimillionaire, remember? Senegalese Italian. So if this brother can be kicked out, imagine what would happen to you. He's a multimillionaire, somebody who can invest even in the country. But he was kicked out. What does that mean for US-Africa relations in terms of immigration? And looking back at what happened with Cyril Ramaphosa at the Oval Office. And what exactly happened to this brother. So let's take a look at this. Get a sense of what happened, and please share your thoughts. Do you think how America is going about this is right? And what chance do you stand really to make a life in the US, especially if you are an African immigrant? Let's jump right in, man.
TikToker Khaby has allegedly been arrested by ICE and is currently being held at a detention center in Nevada. So if you don't know who Khaby is, he is currently the most followed person on all of TikTok with 165 million followers. This post is going viral online right now saying President Trump's ICE just officially arrested far-left TikToker Khaby, who this person apparently reported to ICE. According to the DHS website, he's currently being held at a Henderson detention center in Nevada. Now, the person who made this post goes on to show this screenshot here showing Khaby's full name, his country of origin, Senegal, and apparently this is the information you can type to go find his name. Now, I never believe anything 100% until I research it myself, and this screenshot for something being so new and updated, so I went to the U.S. Immigration's website, and as you can see, my screenshot is very clear, and I typed in everything. I got 0 search results. I never saw Khaby's name come up. And as we wait to figure out if this is actually true, because we have no official word from ICE or Khaby thanking this man, saying that he did a good job getting Khaby arrested.
This brother, quite interesting. The muscle of mimes. I wonder whether he is called Lame or Lame. He's African. Most likely it's Lame. It appears he was definitely asked to leave the US, self-deported. From what you're seeing online, Khaby may have overstayed his visa. And eventually, there is a young man, only 18, who decided, I love Trump too much, I love his policies, I'm going to snitch on you. So on that ground, he had to leave. What is the meaning of that to African immigrants? If a multimillionaire can be kicked out of the US, Senegalese, Italian, what do you think would happen to you if you're African? You know, that's a big question. Because this is a brother who can actually invest in this country. So the policies of this current administration do point to one thing. That yes, he said he would ensure that illegal immigrants or undesirables, as the foreign secretary has been quoted saying before, would be kicked out of the country. But the manner in which the ICE have engaged in this, the manner in which the administration is high-handed, I mean, they're going beyond what would be regarded as their mandate. Quite frankly, this president is acting imperial. So it has triggered even riots in LA. If you have a sense of history, you might remember Rodney King. And this is the kind of thing that is now happening in the States. It's crazy, man. We're looking at it and you're thinking, I thought they always say these things only happen in Africa. But no, they are happening also in the States.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden.
That's the reality. Immigration is a big issue. And in terms of relating with Africa, certainly the presidency, that administration is saying we are not interested in you coming here. In fact, 7 African states have been banned permanently from entering the US. There are others on a watch list. I don't know what they're being watched for. And if anybody is kicked out and even sent to the wrong country and you don't receive them, oh, mighty America is going to clamp down on you. So this administration, clearly, the way it's relating with Africa, the way it's relating with certain countries, even in Southern America, is not appealing in terms of foreign relations, in terms of interstate relations. It's certainly not welcoming. And the most crucial thing is that the US is an immigrant country. And America became so strong because it was filled by some of the best minds that came from the West, came from Africa, came from all over the place. Certainly some of the strongest also came from Africa. Those who built the Capitol, White House, they have been the ones that have made America what it is today. But Americans of a certain descent seem to think that America just belongs to them. So they need to pacify America of undesirables, of those who look like me, kick them out, but extend a hand to those who look like them. We saw Afrikaners the other day being given a free pass to come into the country, and they did arrive in the US. But the irony is, they can arrive, but the others will be kicked out. What's with the double standards? Under the pretext that South Africa is persecuting, that South Africa is committing a genocide, we saw the show that was put on by the Oval Office, the engagement with President Cyril Ramaphosa. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then reports came out. We saw them from CNN, from Reuters, all over the place. These images captured a memorial. Those crosses that apparently the president thought was a recent genocide represented individuals, including Africans, who had been unalived over a long stretch of time within South Africa. So it was a representation. But clearly somebody lied to the president, made him look so uninformed, play out to the entire world. And how ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? South Africans who are watching this, man, I mean, share your thoughts, man. South Africa, yes, has problems. It does, ever since the apartheid era. And this will take time, generations to fix. And I believe that indigenous South Africans, born of that place thousands of years ago, are simply looking for an opportunity for the country to work, systems to work for them as well. Predominantly whites, Afrikaners or the Boers, enjoy many more privileges, and they talk about it openly. But the call for equity is what South Africans are pushing for. That's what's up. So to see how ICE is engaging with African immigrants, forgetting that the nation itself is an immigrant society. In fact, matter of fact, the leadership in the US today is a gentleman who is the grandchild of a German immigrant. President Trump's grandfather arrived in the US in the late 1890s. I mean, look at even the black population in the US. A vast majority from a slave background who arrived there like 400 years ago. Looking at the young man who decided that he's gonna snitch and his language, it tells you that there is a certain sense of entitlement. Yes, the law has to be followed, but really, would another individual who looked different from this brother, who was a multi-millionaire, face the same music? What do you think? Please share. Would he face the same? I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. So Khaby Lame, man, overstaying his visa, was asked to leave, self-deport. Those are the challenges that you face when you're born on the continent. But we're also seeing that blacks who also reside in the West, but more specifically the US, are now self-deporting. Yeah, they're coming over to places like South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Ethiopia, Senegal, Gambia, setting up new businesses in travel, hotel industry. Some are content creators, figuring that what is happening in the US today is the kind of tension that is not healthy for them, and particularly those who have young families. So the challenge that we have seen, the meltdown that even happened with Zelensky, or the Oval Office now becoming a place where it's a knockout jab, it really points to an American state that is generally on the decline. Because what we saw even recently with General Langley and his comments about Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso speaks about a nation state that is still desiring to have greater influence in the continent of Africa, when really they have lost the opportunity. I'm not saying they should, but they have slept on the job over time. And China, rather than spend volumes of money militarily in wars abroad and all these things, was quietly working. As America is going to Iraq, fighting in Iraq, spending trillions of dollars, fighting in Afghanistan, China was busy building, consolidating its resources, its intellectual property, even when some of which we know perhaps was gifted to them. So that is what China has done. And China's influence, especially using the bridge and rail road initiative across Africa and Asia, is driving America nuts. China is finally emerging as a superpower. Russia is still holding its ground. There is the emergence of BRICS. You've got Brazil, you've got South Africa, you've got India, Russia, China. All these guys have become a major force, totally unsettling America. And if you really consider these new policies that pushing out people like Khaby and the immigrants, the tariffs, all together, then you see that the nation state of America seems to be on a decline. Look across and see what's happening now with Iran and the war now with, in that Middle East region, and how very likely the US is about to be drawn into this war because their embassy in Tel Aviv was impacted by some of these missiles. And President Trump actually had to leave the G7 summit in Canada to try and attend to some of those very pressing security issues. Tells you that there is certainly a major shift. And other smaller nations are definitely going to rise and speak louder. We know there are a few other nations that also have nuclear power, even if they're smaller. But that gives you real power.
North Korea.
So that's a threat, obviously, in the international system. That is certainly making the states very unsettled. But in the broader look of things, away from that security, the other things that America has been doing with immigration and tariffs, we're just seeing President Donald Trump push the US down this hill. It's a quick hurdle. Can they really recover from this? I don't know. Time will tell. But for us in the continent of Africa, it just tells us that we need to do a lot better for our countries, for our populations. We need a bit more respect in the international space so that our millionaires like Khaby are not just kicked out. Where is the respect, man? The brother has worked so hard. But what does that mean to ordinary folk? That's the question. Those who are here on the continent, we know you keep applying for visas. Half the time you're denied, and they keep the entire loot. Yes, there's the DV lottery thing that is probably about 50 to 60,000 people. Half of it comes to Africa, yes. But over and above that, sometimes you just need to travel the world, see the world. We are citizens of the world. Why should those of the North travel to Africa very easily, but we cannot do the same? African youth are really sick of it, and we see the challenge even in a place like Nairobi. That in June last year, we had problems because the IMF, working with the Kenyan government, was trying to push a bill that was going to really overtax the population during these harsh economic times. We lost lives. Now, just the other day, we are seeing a lot of extrajudicial high-handedness by Kenyan police. And really, when you look at it, there is just a seeming little appetite for criticism by those who are in public office. You wonder why they are in public office. It is a public office. You are a public figure. You will be scrutinized. And if you are failing to deliver on promises, spinning tales, hadithi as we say in Swahili all the time, then you will be reminded that you have a mandate to grow this economy, to create opportunities, to be an enabling factor. Because of the failure to enable things to work, systems to work, that is why young Africans are dying in the high seas, trying to get to Europe. That's why you get mistreatment abroad. Yet you are living out of strife, out of a failed state, places like Libya. The trouble in that region being a responsibility of NATO and the US. Yes, they got Gaddafi out, but had no plan beyond his exit. It's a mess. So the continued influence that we are seeing, the emerging threats from statements being made about people like Ibrahim Traore, is a concern for Africa, because the West wants to enjoy the best of Africa, but cannot even entertain us visiting those countries. It's ridiculous. It is, you know. But hey, it's not just my thoughts. Share your thoughts as well in the system, in the comments below. Share your thoughts. What do you think about this brother being kicked out? What do you think about America's immigration law towards other populations? You have watched this far, so obviously it makes sense to you, and I want to thank you. So give it a thumbs up, man. Subscribe, ring that bell. Help us push a new narrative about Africa, about African diaspora, so that we can create a space that works for us as well. Let me hear your thoughts, people, and many thanks for watching. Be blessed, and peace wherever you are. This is definitely Afrocentric, and it's starting to rain in Nairobi. So check out this other video, and we'll see you again.